Going to trade the NBI.com. This is John's reports for the 7th. Well, a little bit of softness. Now we've got NBI magenta below the 33 level. Slight uptick of white, still only at 4. That's not enough to produce a significant downdraft at this particular stage. And we're still hovering. What I mentioned, we would break above the 4,008, move around to the 23 range. We actually did quite a bit better than that, but pulling right back to that same 21 range here, but we've had quite a up press relative to what we've been seeing from an economic standpoint. So it's an interesting one to see that divergence. Of course, positive extremes on the first couple setups. We filled out the last one, leaving just a return. I would say even just because it was a very slight one, the main body of it at the open around 40.85 would be my downside viewpoint unless the weakness continues to grow. I mean, we still have excessive shakeout readings here. I mean, you're still plus 18. It's way up there. Science still under red on the NASDAQ, clean as a whistle. So it's just a modest move. What I'd like to see, if you're from a bull standpoint, would be the reset of the DOC red, meaning a return lower. That it's not doing that, it's not great because it puts a lot more downside pressure where you get one of those large down bars usually that take place, under significant selling. Um, we may see it reset with the MBI sooner. We'll keep an eye out. It's going to take a week or more for any of that to develop. Treasury's still way too high. Still other way to put it TLT at least, that yield's got to come way up, and that would require us to be sub 100 from a TLT standpoint. Not there yet. Oil still hovering mid 70s. Again, it's not catastrophic, but it's not great. And again, that's that malaise that I was talking about. How far can it extend into time and still have things be okay? That really is the ultimate question, because higher rates only are going to just create just massive deficits, and uh, that's going to have to start having an impact, especially as this debt ceiling battle wages on, and whether there'll be a compromise on that. Of course, there always is, but there's going to be some hand wringing along the way. Gold has filled back in all the way, coming back very close to positive extremes. Took place back over here. It's got a little bit more to go. Would have to break its 50% range. Um, and there's enough weakness built into the setup at this particular point. We had a little bit of softening right there, which gave a little bounce back, but still fairly weak from that chart reading off that DOC spread. And the euro, some people waking up to the disaster that is the euro. Nobody wants these euro bonds that they're trying to sell all the junk debt that really is a result of just worse deficits than the U.S. runs in that. And the fact that it even punched as high as this is insane. But again, that's the Fed backing, and it helped out the U.S., at least from a trade standpoint. In that every little bit helps. Bitcoin right at that same support level, under weakness and potentially stronger weakness. I mean, see, this is the difference. If you saw this on the market, we'd expect significant lower in that particular case, because you have the white finally above, in this case, 8. Extreme 25 on the shakeout. I'd have to squeeze that down to get that to fit in there. Still rising gold, so maybe enough to just temper it, but certainly weak from that aspect. And ETH not really doing a whole lot of anything, just sort of easing along in a plateau. And I think that looks to be much more comfortable than when you're looking at the Bitcoin readings. Big difference between those two. From an ES50K, you can see going all the way back, we had the positive extremes. Right back over here. Hasn't quite filled yet, so that potentially puts us down into the just under 4,100 range. So that would be the soft side of any significant selling that took place in there. You could see from an intraday standpoint that started out pretty significant downdraft, getting us all the way back down towards that 41. Then it fought its way back and forth, and some pretty decent trade from those signals going back and forth, and a lot closer to the mean reversion that you'd like to see from normalized activity. So I'm not seeing any outliers or anything like that. This is all pretty consistent. That was pretty clean buy. Uh, Shooting back up. Bit of a retrace. Did not make the 0% off the MBI white because magenta stayed clearly above yellow through most of that, and still above the 25, typically below the 33. You think a little bit suspect, and it did kind of give back and forth up against that 41.23, but finally spiking back above, and that was enough. What happened when you get that cave of the white? You would expect to see it return back up again, and didn't quite do that as it did with the previous one, where it spiked up and then filled back to the 0% on a secondary spike of the white MBI. So that's worth watching for when those take place. Nice to have all the charts finally up and everything working correctly. Took some time. But as always, look for me on Skype chat. Trade well. We'll talk again later.